colonial, Ganye colonial, Gayanavea, young one along way, Onega, young one along way, Onega, Ganye colonial, Ganye colonial.
Sego Sewagwego. Kaden ne Skilnia Haja Youngets Waginyato. Ganyangeha Niwagasoto. Haona Aguego desa deswa Deganur Lados. Nyawa Sanguine Diso Aguego Nahoda Squawi. Deganur Lados Sanguine Diso Ale Uya Aze Winisalade Sagagato. Enerly got nege Desiat Dohete. Giji Niwanislis Askenawase Arderis Riohage Nyawa.
Pain is based on experiences that come from a physical, mental, emotional, and even spiritual aspect.
We conceptualize chronic pain as what's described as a biopsychosocial disease. So there's a biological component. You've got diabetes, you're controlling the diabetes, but it's injured your nerves, so you have some pain. There's a psychological component, what's happened to you in the past that was painful.
Researchers have come into our communities and have, with their questions and their funding, and have garnered information from the community and have left and never come back. They didn't build that relationship with us.
How to engage Indigenous patients, how to even conduct, processing, gathering this data in the community setting. And all of those situations have helped us, especially with building more knowledge based on that kinship, friendship, and relationship with our communities. We can't do it alone. We need our communities to lead this process. And as Indigenous people, we are experts on Indigenous people's health.
I have been with our health center, Dadewada Desne, for 19 years. And early on in my role working with the primary care team and Western medicine providers, and all of our providers were non-Indigenous. I was trying to figure out a way, how do I talk about relationships and Indigenous people with Western medicine providers? And so I started using storytelling. And I would tell them examples of racism, medical violence, substandard care, and I would tell them stories. And the reason I knew the stories so well was because it was my story.
Growing up on a First Nations reserve here in Canada, that has definitely impacted my childhood and the way that I want to help the next generation so that they can navigate life a little easier than I did. And to me, that's important to share not only with my community, but as well as with the rest of Canada.
We've heard about the incredible disruption that things like the residential schools have had on an Indigenous society or the nations across the country. And the fact that it's made it very challenging for Indigenous people to engage effectively, to receive care in an institution that they perceive as life or culture threatening. And so to read back and hear, for example, that various churches ran schools where they actually set out to destroy a culture was incredibly embarrassing.
There's, I think, a spectrum of pain when you're talking about that area, because there is the unseen pain, like there's even legacy pain where our ancestors gone through things and you're carrying that and you don't even know what that pain is. You're not even experiencing, or you can even articulate. I remember in my own life, I'm having some type of pain, but I don't know what it is and I can't express it. And it wasn't until I got education where I was like, I know what this is, I can label it. This program and this research is really important so that we can have the language to express what that is.
Those stories need to be shared, and I think that research is, the perfect avenue for me.
I think it's also important for funders to hear what we have to say so that research can go forward in regards to what young people and children are experiencing in relation to pain.
It's about more than just this physical symptom that pediatric patients or kids, Indigenous kids, face. And it's a lot more about kind of the whole context of their spiritual and mental and emotional well-being. And to have conversations about how do we redirect this field and provide direction to even our profession to be able to manage pain in a much better way is very important, I think.
What did we do for healing before hospitals, before all of this took place? So upon getting information from people who have written books and did some research on what did we do? What did our ancestors do to do healing?
What I heard several times today was people saying, look, we know what the problem is, we live the problem, we need to figure out how to fix the problem, and if we're not going to fix it, nobody will. And I think that's, that's the common concept that's being developed here.
If we don't do anything that will provide the opportunity for the ones that didn't have it, language, ceremonies, etc. If we don't provide that opportunity for them, then all those people that have died through these residential schools and others, they would have died in vain.
When we are going through school, as an Indigenous person, it is a lonely experience, and this is just an opportunity to not feel that and bring the strengths of all of us together. This allows us to see that we can do it together and that we're not alone.
We have to lift each other up in what we do, and it's not easy. So for us to stand in those spaces and be loud and say, no, our teachings are valid and they're important and it doesn't matter if I have a degree or not, I just don't feel alone anymore, and that's what I bring in here, and that's what I'm going to take out of here is I firmly believe that the Creator puts me in the right spaces to do the good work. I'm going to continue to do that with you all, and I can't wait to see what we come up with.
I feel privileged, humbled, empowered to be among people just like me that I didn't really know. And that we can make the difference for people like Kaya.
This gathering here this weekend is making a difference in a child's life is really a good feeling to know that.
By having all these wonderful Indigenous clinicians and people with their own expertise come together has brought a collective kind of thinking of pain in a way that is more strengths-based versus focusing on the trauma, focusing on often the negative aspects that are the center of focus, especially in a clinical setting.
And it's those kinds of networks that create that community and that critical mass fundamentally in terms of creating a better healthcare system that addresses, and we're talking about pain in Indigenous children.
There is a national strategy for pain that's been published in Canada, within Health Canada, and there's some commitment to achieving the goals. And some of those goals are directly focused on Indigenous care, access to care, appropriate care, and enabling Indigenous communities to basically take care of themselves.
And so to me, it was like tapping into hope, tapping into community, tapping into love, mentorship, and then building something that can have a meaningful impact for our children.
Kanye Colonial,